live. Go live. One, two. You're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And tonight we got a great show. We got Julie Ann Payne, our alchemist of the words. Thank you for coming. And my co-host, Lucky Stone. Thank you for being here tonight.
Oh, thank you for inviting me, Robert, and you, Lucky, and everybody else. And thank you all for your gifts and talents, and enjoy always.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I mean, I sometimes plagiarize you, when I'm on, not when I'm in the chat with you, but a lot of times I'm somewhere and I'll tell them, thank you for your gifts and talents, on other channels in their comments or something. I don't know what to say, and I'll just say that. And because I don't think a lot of people know what, favor to you or something, and they're like, what? But if thank you for your gifts and talents. And a lot of times they'll give you a thumbs up or a little heart or something, because they like that. It really makes somebody feel good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that came from originally when I wrote the poem back in 2012, which was Rose, which everything's the opposite of how it appears to be, and opposites spring opposites. So now what do you see? So that was the start of it, and then the end was thanking everybody for the craft that you have chose and acknowledging all for the flower you have rose. So that was the last verse. And so then I just thought, when I was in chat, I'd just say, oh, thank you all for, and I still say that if I go on any, to watch somebody, but I've actually not watching too much anymore, because I'm just focusing on my community or our community, and like the family and my mother, and doing stuff with her. So, and my garden, because we're a little bit dry at the moment. So putting a lot of water into it, because it is the season now that we plant all our winter crops.
Oh yeah. It's winter down there, isn't it?
No, it's still summer. It's still
summer.
No, it is. It's autumn, but our temperature hasn't got too cold yet.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful days.
Yeah, it's just starting to warm up here. The snow is almost melted here where I am. Almost melted now. And Lucky, how about you? You're in a warmer area.
Yes, I am. Subtropical.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
It hit 90 yesterday, and
Wow.
It's 80 today. I don't like it. 60. I want 60. 60 at night. It's 63 right now. Which is what I prefer.
Yeah,
that's my temperature.
Yeah,
because if I'm out hiking, which I don't think I burn. No, I got a little bit of burn. I burn easily, and I'd rather be out hiking with a light jacket on. That's my favorite thing. But
yeah, you always dress down, but it's hard once you got almost nothing on to dress down even more.
Yeah.
It's 45 here. It was probably about 50 during the day, so it's real nice. I love it. But I see you got beautiful skies there. Look at that. The scenery in back of you, Julianne, it's beautiful. Look at that blue sky, like you never see, and green trees. Oh man, nice.
I'm on my phone because the tablet wasn't going to work, so I've got the phone sitting up against the tablet now, so that's why you're seeing more of the sky.
That's all right, but it looks beautiful. You couldn't make a better picture if you tried.
Well, thank you. It is beautiful. It's been a lovely whole day's been beautiful, because we had our farm stall yesterday. It's been going 10 weeks, which is at the end of our road, and it's called Three Creeks Farm Stall. And we have Eel Creek, Mary's Creek, and we're in Pie Creek. Funny that it's called Pie Creek. But anyway, we're there, and there's been a subdivision. They chopped down the trees probably a year and a half ago, and I sat on the corner and I just cried because they chopped all these trees down. But we went to the farmer who owned the land, and we said, oh, look, we want to set up this stall. He said, yeah, sure. Well, this week they've put the fence up ready for the subdivision. So we've got this one triangular piece at the end, which is actually public land. And so we're claiming that little piece, and we're going to, well, I kept saying yesterday, we're going to plant it out as an oasis, and we're going to have our stall there every Saturday. And just watching how the networking's happening. You know, one of the guys, he grows ginger, turmeric, bopple nuts, macadamias, and sunflowers he had yesterday. And he says, oh, we'll have to get our sign made. And I said, shit, yep, we'll get a sign made next, in a matter. He'd gone home to do something at the farm, and friends of mine, we met a year and a half ago at a camping. They turned up to buy some product, some farm stuff. Anyway, they're going to make the sign for us. So look how the universe works. Yes. I go, that was within half an hour. So that's how quick you can create and manifest, simply by being from your heart. And all of us are on our stall are all virtually all on the same page. Just Jules is a little bit bit more. And I have my little table of all my medicinal herbs. And I have my smudge sticks, my balms, because I hand out all my balms. And most of my plants, I give a lot of it away, but you know, I've got to look like I'm creating a bit of income for my husband, because the first day I did it, he said, can we retire? And I said, oh, you're funny. You know, because that's what I've always done, is given it away. And yesterday I had a tray of Brahmi, which is a little water kind of a plant you have. It's for the brain. And so I'd done up a little bit and put, because I don't do Facebook, so I do all my little memes and I send it to the farm girl across the road who sells her sister's product, actually, which is avocados and bananas. Anyway, we're sitting there and I said, oh, I'm just going to do this little thing. I did up all these little packs of Brahmi and said it was good for the brain. And then people were asking me, can you make it into tea? I said, well, I just eat it, just go out and have a pick. You know, you can do whatever you like with it, really. And that's what I say with my balms. I said they're intentional balms. They're for you to, whoever I give them to, it's that intent's behind it. It's your intention. And that's what you whatever you need it for. So, you know, that's what I say with everything. You know, someone come to visit us at the stall, and then I brought him back to our place because Colleen's still living with us. I got a lady who house sits, and when she hasn't got a house sit, she lives with us. Anyway, we're sitting on the veranda, and we're talking about permaculture and organic stuff and all those kind of things. And I just go, look, I don't like giving it a label. I said, I sow with intention. I plant with intention. I don't want to say I have to plant in rows, because Mother Nature doesn't plant in rows. So I just sow from the heart, and then you get it back. So that's virtually with the words you say. If you keep saying the same old thing, you're only going to get more of what you keep saying you're going to get.
Yeah. So yeah, isn't that kind of the definition of crazy? Keep doing the same old thing over and over, and you're going to get the same results. That's it.
You know, that's it.
You know, well, how many times should you try the same thing over before you change it, though? I think that's what the person really should stop and think, because I know myself, I'll do it 3-4 times, and then it finally gets to me like, you know, this ain't working.
Yeah, well, like when I do, everyone says, oh, what's the recipe? I go, well, I don't usually, I just go out, if I'm making my balm and whatever's flour, and it's always base is coconut, and it's wormwood and mugwort as the parasite cleanse. And then it'll have some other special herb in it, and then I'll get one that's flowering and stuff. And so I put them in the pot, and I don't measure it. I just put it in. It's the intent that's going in there, the love. It's the same as like when you're making a cake, you know, or biscuits, you know, bread. Like the other day, you might have seen my funny little video I put up about spelt bread, and it was funny because I sense the shift that's going on in the whole multiverse, and I know you guys in America, it's different because you have so much going on politically that I don't watch the news so much. But the funny thing is, I heard about the story about this young boy that did some leaking or something, and I thought, oh, I'm going to have an investigation of that name. And I go, Teixeira, how you pronounce it. So he's sharing, right? That's how you pronounce it, right? And Jack, or, you know, Jack is a foolish boy, or he's clever all at once. You know, all the nursery rhymes are about Jack. And so I thought, oh, this is interesting, the name they've chosen to give this poor person who's probably getting some big summon to go off onto an island. Anyway, in mythology, it's an actual conifer tree, and its berries are poisonous, and it's superstition, and it's immortality, and they used to make longbows out of it. But if you look at the word in actually Latin, it's taxus, Taxus, taxus. So I thought, oh my goodness, they couldn't have got another name, pulled it out of their proverbial behind and given it to this poor lad to be the face of whatever it is, because I always see it from a different angle, and I think, oh, that's just a whole nother story in itself, and it just explained it in the word.
So do you think then, from the day that boy was born, he was destined then to do this? Literally.
Well, obviously, if that's the story that's being portrayed, right?
Yeah.
But then they could have, he's just an actor like all the others, probably with masks on.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Remember, I'm a storyteller, and I look at it from the top of the tree, and I look at all the angles, right? So you look at it like everybody's looking at me. Oh, I can't see those trees. Well, I can, because they're reflecting in my lens. I can see them, but that angle isn't what I see with my eyes, because you're looking at that and I'm looking behind you, Robert. But those angles aren't necessarily wrong. You just can't see them because you haven't got your lens looking at that point of view.
Yes.
So because I'm on this at the moment, point of views. Now, it's better to say point of view than that's an interesting point of view instead of a point to view, like of view instead of a point, because it's, so it's a point to view, point of view. You look at the difference in that. Anyway, my dad, and I've said that before, I have to thank my dad, Alan, my grandmother, Ellen, my mother, Margaret, because they were probably all characters, but Mum's still alive. But Dad always greeted people when they said, "How are you, Alan?" He'd go, "Top of the tree, pick of the orchard." So I use that same, they go, "How are you, Julie Ann?" "Oh, top of the tree, pick of the orchard." So if you're at the top of the tree, there's infinite views to look at, right? So you just turn around till you find the view you like seeing, don't you?
Yeah.
And then my grandmother taught me the alphabet backwards. And so that's my logo that everybody sees in my thing. It's ZYXWVUT. Zygote is the egg, which is the beginning from the other end, the crossing point where we sit now in this energy. You sit in the center where the treasure lies of W. So the W, the male and female aspect of you, sits in the C-enter, the center, C-enter, in the heart at that crossing point, and then you're able to see all views, right? And then my mum, who's my dear mum, who's Margaret, and that means pearl, which she is, she's so, I said to her last week, I said, "Oh, Mum, I have to thank you for your liberal or your open, the aspects you were as my mother, different version probably with my sisters having the same mother, but they're in a different position to me being the eldest, right?" So anyway, I said, "I thank you for not making me go back to kindergarten, because they made me drink milk, because I hated milk. I've never been a milk drinker. So I never went back to kindergarten. She didn't make me go back." Now, when we got served dinner, we were never made to eat anything on the plate. She only served what she knew we would eat. So she never forced you to eat anything you didn't like. Plus, when we were kids and we did our communion and confirmation, because Dad was Catholic. Anyway, she said, "Alan, you cannot make the girls go to church if you're not going." And I go, "Yeah!" So I said to her last week, those three things. I said to Mum, "I have to thank you for such a forward-thinking mother,
Yeah.
and doing that." So, from my mum, my dad and my grandmother. And I didn't know mum's dad because he was eccentric, and I've obviously got some of his genes, but I didn't know him. I never met him. He was obviously not involved in the family once grandma divorced him. So I never met him, but I know he was a eccentric because he used to roam around the place with a herd of goats.
Wow.
Yeah, and he lived under the Story Bridge, which is in the city of Brisbane. And the police, it was an article in the Courier Mail, and they said, oh, he's keeping the riffraff away from under the bridge.
That's it with the goats. With the goats. He's got the goats. He lives under the bridge.
Yeah, well, he was. There was a photo of him both in the same paper, one with his herd, and they wouldn't let him go over the border because he might send some disease with his goats over the border. But that's back in the 60s or something. You know, this is just as I'm little. You know, I'm only but I never met him. So that's my crazy antics behind probably my gene pool in a sense.
Well, that is pretty cool. Pretty darn cool. But I'm glad you turned out the way you did, or you wouldn't be here now. They would have made you go to church and drink that milk. You might have been a whole different person.
Yeah, well, that's another thing with you know, how you be, and I was having this conversation yesterday with the lady that lives with us, and I said, I remember, and I don't know whether mum does, I said, I remember falling down the steps as a 2-year-old. Now, I can still have the vision of being in hospital as if I was meeting dad at the front steps, and I was, 2, just getting my legs. And I believe in myself. I remember falling down the steps. And I thought, oh, that might have been the initial shift in Julie Ann. But I also said to mum when, she had a stillborn and a miscarriage prior to me. And I said, oh, mum, I didn't want to be born in 59 as a boy. I wanted to come in 62 as a girl.
There you go.
Because I'm in the 60s now instead of the 50s. I don't want to be in the 50s. I'm coming in the 60s. Who knows? But it's a story, and it makes light of the terrible things that people went through. Yeah. It's terrible back then. You didn't get to nurse your child. You never had any mental help after a thing like that. It's shocking, but thank goodness they do a lot more measures for mental health now. When you have those kind of terrible things that happen. But again, it's part of the journey, isn't it?
Yes. And the thing is I really do think people were tougher back in those days. They were tough. Our great grandparents were tough people. They lived through a lot of hardships that I don't think we as a people nowadays could handle. I really don't.
Yes, we can, Robert. We can handle it.
Well, I know some of us can, but there's a lot of people who, if they get in struggling times, would probably just lay down and die. They literally won't fight.
That mindset is the problem, because I think struggle helps us improve ourselves.
Yes.
People who have a tougher life tend to be more resourceful. It's one of the things is the life is so easy, you tend to become lazy and you don't improve. So yes, they are harder because they had a harder life. Yeah. Our children are less hard because we have an easier life, but if things do turn around, we will step up to it because we'll have to. And that's one of those things is we humans are the big fault with humans is we don't learn unless we have something to struggle.
Yeah.
If we don't struggle,
I agree. Oh, you're so spot on.
Well, I don't want to use the word struggle, okay?
Okay. Well, how do you...
It's yes, but you have to define it so you become and you know how to use it to improve yourself. So if it's a struggle, you get, okay, I acknowledge it, and then from there, I'm going to learn from it and become better. Every opportunity. Obstacles become opportunities. Have to transform.
But do people? Well, How can I put it in the words I want to use? It's
You
like,
don't want people to wallow in self-pity.
no,
That's
Yeah.
it.
no,
So basically you want
No.
people to, but people to acknowledge, okay, I have this situation, I acknowledge it, I see it. And from there, how can I grow from it? That's it.
well, exactly. I understand, that, but they've got to be in that mindset anyway to think they have to come out of it, because some just swallow in it. But I know of the energy that's here now, and I know that through all of the way I get my information, that that we're all of the light. Now, I'm going to go into something that I received back in 2019. It was October, November 2019. How I get my messages in the morning as I'm waking up, I get words or a vision of something. So I was told by my higher self or source, whoever you want to call it, just me, told me that our chakras were leaving. Now, if I was to say that to any GURU, because everyone's a guru, if I was to say it to whatever, and they couldn't get their head around that, because that's the program we've always known. But I've never been one to truly buy too much into it in my own self anyway prior to it. I mean, I was aware of it because everybody was doing the thing, you got to have this, doing this to get this right. Well, I was given that information. And so now these years on, and I believe it's our fascia that's the crystalline grid, right? It's the network that holds us all together. Now, if come along for the ride, I'm a storyteller, okay? So if you can imagine a weave on your body, which is now getting tighter and tighter, and no dark can fit in that weave, no dark, because that weave has got so tight. So and so that's all left the planet now. All of that darkness has left the planet. And what's left is all the bodies that are on the planet now are full of light, but depending on their situation, they will attract, if they keep saying the same, if you're watching someone telling you some alt media information and they're feeding you whatever they're feeding you, and I'm telling you a story, if you keep believing that, you're going to attract more of that to you. The energy that we're in now, right now in this present moment, like I said to you earlier, we wanted a sign within half an hour. The sign was the sign. And so how much more of a sign do you want than having that happen so quickly, right?
Yeah.
So, right. And so that in itself, so if people are projecting whatever it is that's going on in their world, because they are the projector and they're creating it continuously, and you'll only get more of that bombardment of that, right? So if you use these words that come out of your mouth and the energy that's here, it's just going to go, oh, well, you want that. Okay, I'll give it to you. And you'll get the struggle. You'll get the calamity. You'll get whatever. And then if, for instance, you might have had a slip of the tongue and something does happen, well, then you go, well, what's right about it, which I've always said, and Laurie often uses that as what's right about it you don't get yet, right? So it's all in Source's time. So like, for instance, our little stall that we're having that's been going for 10 weeks, it just fell so smoothly into place. But if I'd have done it probably 3 months prior, most of us wouldn't have had any product to sell because it's seasonal, right?
Yeah.
So it's all, you get the message. I just sent a text to all the farmers in our street. Everyone put their thumbs up. Within 2 weeks, we were going. All we needed was a table and people to stand behind the table. So you just got to make the move. That's the thing. It's all you. If you want to see things different, you be the one that sees it different. So you create it differently.
That's right. Yeah, because you know, but that's you're right on, because there's a lot of people out there that are looking for that change and want to be the light. And then there's these other people that are just stuck in some other universe that I don't even recognize who they are. Is
No,
that is
I know. I know.
it,
I
have you
know where
seen
you.
have you
Yeah.
seen that? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. I
I'm
say that when I leave my house and go into town. I go, oh gosh, I just went into a whole nother world.
because it's like these people that are out there, it's like you're not seeing the same thing I'm seeing, and you're not. I don't know. They're like they're living in another version of the same world I'm living in, and then what can I
Yeah.
do about it? Nothing.
Well, like I've been involved in our community. Well, since the children went to school, you get involved in the community because they're active, but actively involved as a after selling my business and all of that sort of thing, I really got into so many different organizations, and I'm involved in a group at the moment, but I'm just, I said, I won't be coming along. I'll just be your advisor. Anyway, because I don't want to sit and listen to some of the doom and gloom still that they might say. And I get up and be my, because the guy who does chair the meeting, he says, oh, I miss your flair and your presence. And I said, well, I'm not sitting around listening to people say they're stuck or something, because I don't need that energy around me, right?
Mhm.
So I'm still there for the community. I've baked stuff for them, and the lady who lives with us has taken baking to share with the community. So they're all getting the love in the food, but I don't have to sit there and listen to anyone that's still sitting in a space that can't. Because I was at lunch with a group of the similar women, and I just said something totally different out of their realm, and they just looked at me, and I thought, oh, okay, not ready to hear that yet. So you just sit neutral is really what you got to do, and that's what we're receiving. And from the sun is neutrinos, which is neutral little particles that go right through you. They're ghost particles. They're shifting our molecular structure. We are changing as a human on this planet. It's a grand experience. I love being here. I think it's the most amazing time, and the things that are being cleared behind the scenes or in the scenes, if you're willing to see it differently, it's amazing. That's what is actually happening on this earth. So it's up to the individual. If they think it's crap, well, they'll just get more crap.
Yeah, well,
Whereas,
and I agree with you, and because it's in some ways, I always tell people, and you can tell me I'm wrong, but it's like with all the crap that's going on in the world, I say, listen, it's all in your head, because you can walk outside and the birds are still chirping, the grass is still growing, the wind
that's
is
it.
still blowing,
Yeah.
and you're still breathing, you're still eating.
Yeah. That's
What's
it.
wrong?
But actually, I've taken notice in these last 3 days that the birds are louder. I had this one bird sing the other day, and I thought it was a human actually whistling, but it was a willy wagtail or a fantail, because I spotted him and I went, oh my goodness, that was so loud. And then I just had to go shopping before I come out here to Crystal's to get some stuff for Mum, and I was at the shopping centre, and as I got in the car, I heard this whistle, and I went, holy dooly, that was loud. So they've gone up an octave, or two, the birds themselves, because they're obviously loving the way the energy is on the planet now, because they're singing louder,
Yeah.
and so, and you heard me sing on my little video the other day.
Yeah.
I was nearly thinking, oh, will I sing as entrance to this today? But no, I've lost all that singing at the moment.
Well, it is a lot of fun, I mean, let's see, I'll get the thing up here, and if I
It
can
was a
find it.
random thought I had on the way to Zumba, and I just asked the girls would they like to sing, and they all said yeah. So we had
Yeah.
4 practices. That's all we had was 4 practices.
Well, you know, 4 practices is 4 practices. But you did good. You did good.
Thanks, Robert.
You know, I
So you're
mean,
getting up the thing I sent you, are you?
yeah, well, yeah, I got that. You want to look at that now? I
Yeah,
got
get that up
up.
and just, I want to pull the
Okay.
word apart.
Well, okay, I got a definition here. You
Yeah,
want to go to
yeah.
the definition at
Well, if
first?
can you fit the word's cryptocrystalline, isn't it? It's cryptocrystalline.
I think I did. Okay, okay, hey, hang on. I gotta share. Here we go. I'm driving the bus pretty good, except when I hit the wrong button. There we go. Cryptocrystalline is a rock texture made up of such minuscule crystals that its crystalline nature is only vaguely revealed, even microscopically, in thin section by transmitted polarized light. Among the sedimentary rock, chert and flint are cryptocrystalline. Carbondo, or a form of diamond, is also cryptocrystalline. Volcanic rocks, especially of the platistic type, such as plateces and rhodonites. I don't know if that's right.
Yeah, anyway.
But they may have cryptocrystalline ground mass as distinguished between pure obsidian or tectilite, which are natural rock glasses. Agate and oxide are examples of cryptocrystalline silica. There you go.
Yeah.
There's the short
So
version of that.
yeah, so you got the word cryptocrystalline there, everybody, whoever's watching and in the future when they're watching. So the first word crypto means hidden, right?
Yes.
And everyone thinks that there's that specific currency, cryptocurrency, which we're all actually our own local currency of our own crystalline grid system, your fascia, which is in the center's your heart. So I just found that word this morning and I thought it was appropriate with the fact I'd never seen it before, but I was doing a lot of writing yesterday, which was to do with manganese, not magnesium, but manganese, right? Now, manganese is the letters MN, right? That's the letter in the periodic table is MN. Now, what I believe, and this is just from my gnosis, is that most of the mythology, the creatures, the gods, in the books, in all of that, there are just elements of the periodic table. Everything's chemistry. Now, that's just my understanding how I do it as Jules the Alchemist, right? So you look at the word manganese. So you got man at the front, and then there's Ganesh, which is very close to Ganesh, the elephant in the Indian. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Ganesh, which Ganesh was the remover of all obstacles, right? Yes. That's what supposedly. Yeah. Now we're going back to the word manganese. It's the element of love. That's the element. It holds that vibration, is the element of love. Oh. Now, where I live, the mine they used to mine back in the early 1900s or late 1800s was Queen Mary. It was a manganese mine. So obviously where I live, the soil that's in there, it's red jasper. It's so that's got crystal in it, which is quartz in it, and it has got manganese in it. It is, of course, the love element. Now, when you go and look up manganese and all the things about manganese, when people either have addictions or have any mental negativity in their world, they are short of manganese in their actual system. It's the love element, right? It's the love element. It's the love element. Now, if people are negative and having a lot of issues, their body is lacking manganese. Okay, you're understanding what I'm saying? Because we're all made up of these elements. You know, we have phosphorus, there's all iron, there's mag, all of those, right? But they all have different things they do for your body. Well, this is, of course, the love. So for any of the ones that are still on the planet that are heavy in negativity, just give them a dose of manganese and it'll shift their because it's a balancer, right?
Yes.
Right. And so I went and wrote a whole lot about manganese this morning or last night, and I went to look at it. The actual the geometrical shape is a tetraagonal, which if you look at is an acute angle, and acute angle is a wedge. And then when you go and look up wedge, you look up this is how this all comes about, how I find my words and how it all comes back to the body. Is in your brain, you actually have it's a bat-shaped bone, or it's a butterfly-shaped bone, and it's called, I'll spell it, it's SPHENOID, right?
Okay.
And so what does SPHENE mean? It means wedge, which is the acute shape, which is that angle. Your acute angle, when you look at in your maths, it's an acute angle. Which
How's it spelled again? SPHENOID. There we go. Sorry, I was like,
Right?
I'm typing and I misspelled it. Sorry. Oh,
So that sits in your skull, and it
Yep.
actually is the most complex bone in the body, and it protects your pituitary gland, right?
Yep.
So that word comes from wedge, which comes from the shape in a shape of an angle, which is an acute angle. Acute angle. Anyway, but it also, that means sharp. It comes from, bitter in the taste as well, right?
Yep.
So this morning, because I'm curious of all the words and I go looking up things, and I thought, okay, I got the word sorrel, and this is all connected. Nothing's disconnected. Everything's connected, and the words certainly show you that when you go looking. So I thought, I received the word sorrel this morning because someone mentioned the word yesterday, sorrel. And I go, no. My rosellas, no, they're not sorrel. They're called rosella or Egyptian hibiscus or whatever. So I thought I'd go and look it up. Well, sorrel, it is a sorrel. It is a sorrel, right?
Okay.
So you go and get your picture of your sorrel leaf, your actual rosella, because I wanted to know if there's manganese in it. And of course, manganese is in the sorrel, right?
Yes.
So I go, okay, so have a look. You look at the leaf, the shape of the leaf on your hibiscus, on your rosella. You have a look.
Is this what it looks like? Is it?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. I'm typing away. I'm driving the bus as fast as I can.
Oh, you're good. You're good. Yes, you had no idea what I was going to talk about. You're doing a good job, Robert. Thank you. I had no idea how anything was going to unfold either. You just go with the flow.
You
Organic.
talk. I'll put it up on the screen.
Right. So if everybody looks at that flower there, or that's the fruit. The flower's the little white hibiscus in. That's the fruit. There it is. Yeah. Right.
Yep.
So it's called Java jute as well. It's called Java jute. Now, I didn't know that till this morning because I always knew it was just a rosella, not just a rosella, but a rosella. Anyway, it's also a cannabis.
What?
Java jute, because jute, you think of the word jute, right? The fibrous.
Yeah.
Now, when I go to pick these rosellas, because I make them into jam and I dry them for my tea. So when you cut the flower, it's very, very hard to break them off because of the structure of that actual cellular level on the plant. It is fibrous and it's like jute, which is cannabis. So what I did is I thought, oh, well, I'll have a look at the shape of the leaf. And then I had a look at the shape of the cannabis leaf, right?
Yeah.
Very much similar in the shape.
Huh. Well, how about that? Oh, yeah, I guess so. Look at this. Look at the leaves on that.
Yep.
Oh, son of a gun.
Yep.
I never thought of it like that.
No, exactly right. So
Huh.
this was how I went looking, because I received the word sorrel, but someone asked that yesterday, and I thought, okay, I've got to look up sorrel to do with manganese. Oh, I've got to look up to see if the Rosella has the name sorrel. Oh, I've got to look at, I'm searching for all of this stuff, and I went, oh my goodness. So my land is full of manganese because it's jasper. So I'm telling you, the love element is manganese.
Yeah.
Jasper is supreme nurturer in the crystal family. It has quartz in it, which is silica, right?
Yeah.
So this is now leading back to cryptocrystalline, right?
Yeah.
So all of those things inside our body.
Mm-hmm.
Now, everyone, go inside to your body, which is full of cells, which I call them sites now, CYTES, because in the medical fraternity, they call them sites, not cells, it's sites. And so if you spell site SIGHT or SITE or CYTES, it's all sites, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep. So your cells have got plenty of sight. They can see everything. They hear everything. Everything you say, your cells give you what you require, right? What you say. So this cryptocrystalline inside our body is hidden. We can't see the way the structure of the crystalline is inside our body because we're outside as such, but our internal self knows all this information because it goes about doing its job, right?
Yes.
Crypto, I'm just keep saying crypto because there's supposedly something that's out there in the they talk about cryptocurrency, right?
Yes.
Right. Now, that's not going to work on the new planet. We are the local currency. We are the multipolar energy exchange. And we're in a transition period. So what's happening on the external world is all the confusion that's going on and everyone thinks whatever they think. But I know from my way of working things out that it's all good and I know what we're capable of doing and it's a beautiful place. It's a beautiful world. It's a beautiful... Anyway.
Well, you got a point. Can I say something for a second? You got a point there. And I've been researching this cryptocurrency, and they said that the only way, now I've heard it in 3 different spots, and Lucky, maybe you've heard this too, but the only way that it actually works well is if we are chipped or it's using us, because you're saying it's a crypto, and the only way it works is if it uses our body.
Righto. Right. Now, thanks for bringing that up because the old paradigm program that was being fed to everybody, the narrative prior to the pandemic, all of that story, right? That's history now because, you don't even have that. That didn't even happen in my world as such now because it's so long ago, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm just come along on the story, come along with me on the story, right?
Okay.
So the word sharp, which I also used in the word, which was that acute angle, which means needle. And in that sharp needle, they might have put a fish and chips. Anyway, those are silicon chips, right? Silicon chips, right? So they give you the information. So it's silicon, it's a chip, it holds all the information, they put it in, and then that was the program that was never going to work because we're all on the planet for light and all that darkness has left the building, right? So, but if you look at it from a holistic point of view or another angle to look at it, we're turning from a carbon-based to a silicon base, right?
Silicon base, yeah.
So our natural silicon crystals our quartz crystal, which is a transmitter and a receiver. And when you're in the center, you're able to receive all that information because you are that transmitter and receiver. So that's naturally what we are. We're naturally that. Whereas, of course, the program that they were feeding was the information's the same, but it was external and it wasn't. They told you it was a chip as such, and it's silicon chips is what's in your computer, but it's actually you. What's happened is we're remembering, because that's what water is. We're in the age of Aquarius, which is the hydro gene, which is the water gene in all of us. It's if you look at the symbol of Aquarius, it's the wave, it's an air sign, but we're the water bearer, right? We're the water bearer. And as we breathe in this energy that's coming in, we are shifting our molecular structure, and we are able to remember all the beings we've been, future and past, because we're all in the center now at that crossing point. So we sit there in the center and you can see all angles. So we cannot blame anyone anymore, because if you're blaming them, you're them. You were those type of people because you're remembering not to do that again.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. And we just, I mean, believe it or not, we just had a show a couple of days ago with Steve, Slightly Slanted Sleuth, and we had this whole 45-minute discussion on, have we done this before? Are we living in a cycle? And we're just going to repeat it again and repeat it again.
No, because we're remembering, right? We're remembered all of the them, those, they people that we are as a crystalline structure. We hold all the memory because of the water. Water holds memory. We're the water bearer. So all of the energy that's around us from multiverses and everything, we've been all things. So if we're coming from the center, you know not to harm anybody anymore. It's do no harm, because you knew what happened. As we were growing on this planet from the fall, or whatever you want to think of it, if you still go into mythology and you look at the actual names they give things, like you go Hades or AIDS, his name was Pluton or Pluto. He carried the cornucopia of all the metals from under the ground, because under there's isn't that the dark? Isn't underneath the earth, you can't, well, it could be glowing with certain minerals, but it's the underworld, it's under the ground. And that's where all the salts and the minerals and all of what we walk upon, we ingest it as we walk upon. So instead of thinking they're this, they're evil, or they're this, or they're that, or they're whatever, you go, well, I'm not blaming anybody. I thank them for doing their job to wake you up.
Yes.
Do you understand where I'm coming from?
Yes, I do. Yeah, and this is our chance to remember. And that's what we were talking. This is so synchronicity, because that's what he was saying. It was like we were talking about it like we're remembering now. And we're remembering that we repeated this cycle, like, hey, I think we did this before. And, we need to change something, and, something's going on. But this is that part where, like, you're crossing the veil, kind of. And you're saying, you see the light, you see the other side, and you're like, standing in the middle of the road going, I can see everything now. Like you said, the crossroads, right?
Yep.
You're
you stay in the center point. You stay in that center point, which is your heart, right?
Yes.
You stay in that, because that is earth, the way it's spelt. You just shift it around to the other end. Like it's EARTH, or you put the H in the front, that's heart, right?
Yeah.
So you stay in the center, the C, enter, right? You stay there, and then when a situation comes about and you go, it's heavy, okay, I'm not doing that. If it's light, it's right? You go, I've been there, I've done, I'm not going to go and sit through that again, because I've been through that. I'm not going to sit through that again. What does that do if you're going to have to repeat the same thing again when you've already done it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
but what's to stop us? See, this is the thing I always wonder, if there's enough to tip the scales to the other
Yeah,
side.
there is. We've won. I got that message in 2020 and I said it on Andromeda 7. It was December in the solstice, equinox, whatever they are, just another day ending in Y. Anyway, so I got the image that the yoke of a beast, you know how when you had your cart and you had the beast was with the yoke across it.
Yeah.
Well, that come off the back of us, like the weight of that came off and the shackles come off our wrists. And I went live on the show that day and I said, oh, look, we've already won. I just got that message this morning. We've already won, right? So I've been saying that since 2020. We've already won. We've already won. We've already won. We've already won, right? So the more I say that, well, I just see it all the time that we've already won, right?
Yes.
And so then, of course,
I remember when you came on and said that. I was watching, and I we've already won, and we don't worry, we already won. We already won. Like you're just so confident when you say it, you know. And I thought, we're in the middle of all this crap going on, and you're telling us we've already won. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, I mean, my future self saw it, right?
Yes.
So the same as in my books, right? My book.
Yep.
Those poems were written back in 2008, 10, 12, whatever. They're future talking about what we were about to go through or whatever, right? You know, that's telling me I've already, in the moment of clarity, you get this information and then you write it as a poem or however you share your information, like I come on in character, right on the shower in my videos or whatever. You just get this information at the time. And so you share it out. And so you've put it out into the ether because you've just cleared it by you receiving it when you get clarity. And then when you're sharing it, it's gone out into the ethers, whether 2 people see it or 100 or 1,000,000 or whatever. You've done your job. You've shared it. It's gone out. So then you know it's happened because you've just shared a light information or something, you know, whatever. This is from my point of view. Anyway, I also got one day after doing the show, I'm driving home and I got the message, I turn it to water, the solution that they were giving everybody, turn it to water. So I said that to so many people. I said, I just turn it to water. Just turn it to water. You know, because we've got the power in us to change the molecular structure and just turn it to water. And so I just said that, right? So me being Jules the Alchemist, how I've got my name, and I've come across I'm not young bloke, he's about the same age, but we're young at heart. Anyway, when I was doing so many things for the community, he would always say to me, he says, Julie Ann, what do you do? What do you do? Like, I see you everywhere, but like, what are you? Anyway, I said to him the other day, I saw him yesterday, come out to the markets and he had his partner with him. And I said, you know, Bruce asked me, what do I do? And that's when I got the name Jules the Alchemist, because he asked me the question, what do you do? And I'm saying to myself, oh gosh, what do I do? And then that just came to me, Jules the Alchemist.
Yeah.
Because I asked the question, because I didn't have a name for me as such. I mean, Julie Ann is my name, you know, everyone knows me as Jules. So why not go as Jules the Alchemist? And now I'm truly looking at the periodic table of elements to comprehend the makeup structure of us and what the earth's made up of in the crust and all of that sort of stuff. So it, like, if you look at, and I think I might have said this on a show, I'm not sure, but in the Quran, they have a word called Barak. And what it did was that, what's his name? Muhammad flew from Mecca to Jerusalem or something on Barak. And so I thought, oh, well, what's Barak? It's actually boron, and that's a lightning bolt. So you get boron in your soil. When the lightning hits, you get boron. So the word Barak in the story, they're talking about him riding across wherever. Well, it's boron, which is the element that you have that goes into the ground, right? So you have in the scripture also, there's Malachi. Well, Malachite's copper,
Ah,
right? So
yes.
there's different things when I look at, like I said, you know, Kali myrrh and Kali phos. Well, in the Hindu religion, you have Kali, Kali. Well, they're salts,
Oh,
Kali myrrh and Kali phos.
that I didn't know. That I didn't know. Kali isn't that Kali the god of war or something like that?
Yeah, well, if you got the wrong makeup of your salts in your body, wouldn't you have a little bit of some conundrum going on in your body if you've got the wrong structure going on?
Yes, that is
Wouldn't
true.
you have chaos in your body if you've just gone and overdosed on alcohol or drugs or something? Is that not chaos?
Yes, that is definitely chaos. Yes,
So
absolutely.
so in your makeup, in your alchemy of your body, all chemical me, right?
Yep.
Alchemy is all chemical me, chemistry.
Mhm.
So in that makeup of who you are, if you're balanced, there's no chaos going on, is there? Because you're balanced with all your chemistry.
Yes.
And that's what's been now happening. Our fascia's tightening, all the dark's leaving. We're now balanced, and we can start from the center, the center, and then you see, because heaven is on earth because we've already created it. How beautiful is that?
Yeah, that is. So many people, they say, "Oh, this place is hell," but you know, I think it's what you make it. You can make it one way or the other. Lucky,
Where I live,
what do you think on this? That you know, you guys on the heaven or hell? I mean, are you living in heaven or are you living in hell? I mean, is it what you make it? You too. You know, I actually, Jules, you're making a heaven there. You're in heaven there, and I think I'm kind of pretty good there too. Lucky, I mean, you live more in a city than, don't you? You live in, well, East Coast is one big city, for God's sakes.
Yeah. Honestly, I live in a both because around me people's lives are in turmoil, but because of my positive attitude, I'm not affected by it. And I just
that's
watch
right.
it happen. And although I'm kind of a mirror of it, I only reflect it, and I can't help those who, until they ask for help, they have to live the life that they choose. So as it falls apart around me, I just stand there and any paths that do influence me, I figure how I can use that to advance without, I don't hurt anybody, but I can use it to, there's always opportunities everywhere. So that's the thing, as things fall apart, there's always an opportunity somewhere. And that's the problem is I see things falling apart for other people, and it's sad. It's sad when they have to struggle and go to trouble, but I can't pick the rocks that they're holding. I can't carry the load of their life because it's their load for their life. So
Yes.
yeah. So technically, I'm living in hell, but I'm enjoying the ride.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's people, like we talked about early in the first part of the show. The birds are still chirping, the grass is still growing. It's the people around you that make the hell. Isn't that's kind of it?
Yeah.
Well, I choose my world, and I don't have that attracted to me. So I don't see that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm not saying it's, but I live out in the country kind of, and everybody out here is really nice and things are nice. But if I go to a city area, it's a scary place. Things aren't normal. People aren't the same. Things are done differently.
Well, it's all concrete, isn't it? It's all concrete.
Yes,
There's
I agree.
no trees, no grass, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
but it's all a choice. It is all a choice.
Yeah, and
Everything's
I can't wait to get back home. Yeah. So,
well, I love where I live. I love my life. I just and we had a gentleman turn up, like I spoke earlier, who come to visit us at the stall because he's in another group that Colleen's involved in on Telegram, because I don't do Telegram. I don't do Facebook. I just do Messenger where I do
Mhm.
my YouTube. And that's a
Yes.
funny thing. That is such a funny thing because I look at some of my videos when I go back and look at them and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, look at that sort of thing, right? So I check like if there's how many people might have seen something, right? So I go back to one in October because some people have commented lately. So I've gone back to look at it. And however the algorithm or however that works, because I have no idea about that kind of technology, I just know I'm all of that, but I don't know. Anyway, I've had over 42,000 views on one particular poem.
Wow. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And so then all of a sudden there was a lot of different views. And then this last week or 2 weeks, the algorithm must have changed. And there's probably down to 100 views or something. Not that was one particular poem, but I was getting 1,000 views on some of my poems or some of the things I'd say. So something shifted in the algorithm because I haven't changed.
Yeah. Well, no, I know.
I could have.
Well, and that's the thing too is things change. I mean, and it's amazing how I can put out one short and it will get thousands of views, and the next one 3, and it's almost identical to the last one. Lucky I seen that on yours. You'll have some that have 20 views and other ones that are like 700 or something, or a lot of them.
It's all what the AI wants to do with it, and we are at the whim. And
well, I don't look at. Oh, sorry. Go.
No,
go
it's just how it's shared. I mean, and the thing is, the AI puts out to certain people, and the people can either choose to watch it or not watch it.
Yeah. I know. I mean, I do have technology on my phone because I'm using it now. But I mean, I know what we're capable of doing. So eventually we'll be able to just turn up and see each other without even have to come in a plane. But that's down the track a little way. But I know that that's possible because I just know that in my wholehearted self that I know what we're capable of doing. You know, because and that's nothing to do with AI. That's about our technology that we got going on inside of us. But if you look at the word artificial, it's artificial. So someone already had to create it. Artificial. So we all are arty and creative, and intelligence is Intel I gene C. So Intel, I'm the gene C. We've got it all inside of us. It's inside of us. You know, like I did a little T-shirt. I get my daughter to print them out on the Cricut machine. I had one I saw was innovation. It's Innova at Ions.
And ions, yeah, and ions.
Nova.
It's Nova, yeah.
And that's the creation, the star, Innova, innovation. You know, like that's what we're all innovators, we're all creators, we're all doing our gifts and talents, we all do it differently, we're all balancing, and you allow everyone to be who they are and you become neutral, non-reactive, and that's the story. I got caught. I'm going to be honest. This is how because my husband's very good to bring you down, you know. He's a good boy. Love him a lot. Very quiet. But anyway, I had this talk to him because we had this issue which is going around the world about, and I don't have a problem. I have a lot of gay friends. I have lots of people that dress in character and stuff like that. So I don't have a problem with them personally. They're all beautiful people. But our council, well, it wasn't our council, it was our state that was bringing a drag show to our town.
Oh, wow.
So for Youth Week. For Youth Week, right?
For the youth are going to go and drag.
Youth.
Really?
Yep, right.
Oh my God.
So anyway, I was being so neutral. I thought, well, it is what it is. I'm not going to react to it. Anyway, I'm down the street with my girlfriend and she saw the mayor. So she went up to the mayor and she said, how can you let this show go on for Youth Week, children from the age of 15? And he he explained to him it had nothing to do with him. The state paid for it. Rah, rah-de, rah, rah, rah. So a whole group of people went out and stood in front of the pavilion where they were putting it on the other night, and hardly a soul turned up because it got out to everybody. How can you let your children, I mean, if you're an adult, fair enough, it's your choice. But
Yeah.
children, because that's the agenda or whatever. Anyway, besides the point. So I says this to my husband. I said, I was being so neutral, babe. I wasn't being reactive. But I got caught in the moment, and I come home and I told him that. And so we sat and discussed it about being non-reactive and allowing people to do what they want to do and who they want to be, which we don't have a problem with people being that.
Yeah.
And then he said, well, what if it was youth drag people putting on the youth show? Well, we don't know who was actually doing the show, because he was given another angle, right? Which he's really good at giving different angles. And that's how I see most things. But you just got to stay centered.
Yeah. Well,
and be non-reactive.
Well, but that's the thing. I mean, fine. I agree with you. If they want to have drag week, drag show, fine. Let the adults, when you're an adult, you can go to those things and see that stuff. But don't drag the young, impressionable children and the youth. Yeah, the youths, and bring them in there and say, here, this is acceptable. This is what we want you to be. And then they're going to go home and say, look, Ma, I can dress in your clothes and walk around, look at this.
Yeah, well, I don't have a problem with that either, because my son used to dress up. My son, Hayden, used to dress up in my clothes all the time. He'd put all my bangles on. Now he's not, he's as straight as his father. Oh, they could have a little bit of a kink in them. But anyway, he one night, now this is honest, he went out dressed up, long blonde wig, in a jacket, high heel shoes, and he got hit on because he was going to a 21st birthday party, right? So they were all dressing up, but they went out on town. But here is my husband Ian, his father was painting his fingernails.
Oh man.
But it was all in fun, see? But they were adults. They weren't youth. They weren't children. They were adults.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I dressed up in character, so why can I not let my son dress up in character,
Yeah, but if your son was, 10 years old and he says, Mom, I want to dress up and put a bra and go to school like that, and, I want to wear a skirt and all your jewelry, how would you react at that point?
Well, when he was 10, I was a different person.
So maybe I don't know, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, hey, you're a boy, you dress like a boy, and you're going to go to school like a boy.
Yeah, but
it was my kid anyway.
My point is, though, too, is to just, before you react, just sit in the center, so that you're not actually creating a conflict as well, right? And I not that it wasn't a conflict or anything, but I just saw myself go, in the moment, I thought, because I'd been neutral because everyone was saying it, and I'm just sitting there not saying anything at all. And then all of a sudden I thought, I have to speak my truth. I don't think any kids should go to it. So I did speak it, right? So I was coming from the heart in that respect.
Yeah.
And it wasn't being nasty or anything, but that was just a point. Just, you've got to keep yourself centered before you react.
Yes. And there's a lot of people who don't. They just get out there and they react. And then I don't know how things are where you are at, or Lucky, they're probably different by you too, but it seems like when somebody gets an idea in their head, they react. And then when somebody tries to tell them what you're reacting to isn't even real, or, you're believing a false belief, here's the facts. They don't want to know the facts. They just want to go off of what they believe to be true. And that's it. Nobody can tell them anything else.
I had that at a lunch. There was 4 of us at lunch last week. and a specific lady who'd been involved in a specific magazine with her husband for so many years. So she knows all of the goings on that has been going on the planet because the magazine used to talk about it. And I said, oh, look, we've already won and it's just beautiful. And no, I don't even pay that any attention. It was just blank look on her face. So I just stopped. I thought, okay, it's a beautiful world. It's a beautiful life.
That's right. There you go. It's a beautiful world, beautiful life. Spread the love, everybody. But yeah, you know, that's wonderful. Wow,
We've been going over an hour.
We've been going an hour. You've been just so, but it's wonderful. I'm glad I gave you a chance to speak finally. It's been on my list of things to do is get you on so that you can speak your truth and let us all know. And you're welcome on here anytime you want.
I know. Thank you, Robert. And I know you sent me an email a month ago to fit in, but we have been really busy with our.
That's fine. Yeah, we're all busy.
Yeah, and I've got the two little grandchildren, and my husband's building the shed down there, so that's usually a weekend, and so there's always lots going on, because your nighttime the day before us, where it's Sunday now, it's 1 o'clock, and it's in the middle of the day at lunchtime when we started. So sometimes you got lunch things on.
Well, and that's the thing too, is here it's evening, there it's lunch, but at least we're not where Delabar is, because when we're doing it, it's like 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, and it's a good thing he's a night owl.
Yeah.
But
Well, I truly thank you so much for asking me on, Robert. And thank you, Lucky, for sitting with us, and everybody. Again, thank you all for your gifts and talents, because we're all stepping into who we came here to be, because everybody else is taken. You can only be you. Everyone else is taken.
That is true. You can only be you. Lucky, any last words?
No, it's all an adventure. You just gotta, go through it.
The great adventure.
Great adventure. That's right. I think you summed that up real good there. The great adventure. The great adventure. We're all on it. Heaven or hell, we're at the crossroads, people. Just stand there, find your truth, figure out what you want to do. And it's all good. I love it. I love it. Thank you, everybody in the chat room who stayed and was here tonight. Grandpa Brian, he had to go to bed. He'd been working in the garden all day. Elderberry's in the house. Susie Q.
Oh, hello.
Gaza Cav. He's saying the mushrooms or something are out. Mary Wins, Scotty Boy, Amber Dawn.
Hello, Amber.
Julie Stowe. Let's see who else is in here that I haven't mentioned. But Jargo. Let's see. Pearl Jones, who was on here last night with Amber Dawn. We were pulling cards and talking about everything. Let's see. I think I got a lot of them. Sorry if I missed you, but Susie Q. I didn't say. But anyway, yeah, that's a fast rundown of everybody who's here for a while. But anyway, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Lucky, for coming on and being my co-host tonight. And Jules the Alchemist, thank you for coming on. And we can't have you on enough, but you're welcome anytime. And it was great to hear your words of wisdom, because I still think about every time I speak, every time I hear words, I think in my head, what does that mean? I really do. I really do.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you for doing your job, love.
Oh, well, thank you much. Remember, everybody, go out, do what needs to be done, give a smile to somebody, make their day. Remember, woohoo! That's right. Do the woohoo thing. Yes, it's a beautiful day. Woo! Do your dance. Go over to Jules's channel. I put the link in the comments here, and subscribe over there. And whatever, but go out, most importantly, and be the frequency you want to receive, everyone. Love y'all. Peace, everybody.
Bye.
There we go.